next item, which is
open forum. I have 8 speaker cards in front of me, and it looks like someone may be wanting to turn one in. I don't know if you'll be able to accept that.
okay. Please go ahead and call the speakers.
Okay. I have Mary Meads, Bev, Isis Farrell, Derek Schubert, Kevin Jefferson, Mary McAllister, Kate Bruner, and Jane Kramer. And you can come up in any order, please, to the mic.
Thank you. My name is Mary McAllister. I'm attending the meetings of the Oakland Urban Forestry Forum, and I came today to support their proposal to reinstate the budget for tree services to pre-2007 levels so that they can take care of our trees. I also support their proposal to develop a master plan for the urban forest with one important exception, and that is that it not deal with fire hazard mitigation, because that is the duty of the fire department. Oakland has given the fire department $800,000 to develop a vegetation management plan to mitigate fire hazards. That plan will be developed over a period of 3 years with elaborate public process and an environmental impact report. We are hopeful that that plan will have broad public support and be eligible for a new FEMA grant. We should not be getting in the way of that public process by assigning that task to another organization that has no commitment to a public process and no expertise about fire hazard mitigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, come on up.
Yes, I'm Mary Sue Meads. We gave this little talk earlier this morning. We would like to encourage Public Works to reinstate that budget for the tree management, tree planting, really, to increase the trees in Oakland, especially East and West Oakland, where public funding is really needed to accomplish this. Trees give us a great deal of mitigation to our carbon excess. They will be helping the climate. And we wanted to take out of the proposal that you may have been presented the wildfire connection. As Mary has just said, that is another department and another responsibility. If you have money for the trees, please see that it all goes to tree planting in the flatlands where it is desperately needed. Thank you.
My name is Isis Farrell. I would support the Urban Forestry Forum policy statement if it promoted environmental justice by planting trees in the flatlands where most of us live and where pollution causes ever more asthma and other health injuries. But when vegetation management policies mention wildfire concerns, I know it's a euphemism for clear-cutting. Living trees do not catch fire easily, and they provide moisture and windbreaks that help prevent the spread of fires. The myth that non-native trees are a particular fire hazard is a nativist restoration fantasy of mostly non-native people of European descent who believe nature should be frozen in time hundreds of years ago and who are willing to kill thousands of healthy trees whose roots and canopies connect a complex ecology of living things also killed in the process. The hills are a natural wildfire zone where native species evolved to be fire dependent and are threatened with extinction by fire prevention, herbicide use, and human development, the very activities these policies promote. If neighbors in the hills are afraid of trees, they shouldn't live in a forest. I also recognize signatories of this policy statement as advocates of pesticide use. 12 years ago, we stopped Friends of Saucil Creek, the Wildfire Prevention Assessment District, and others from adding yet another exemption to the city's pesticide restrictions. Frankly, I trust no further vegetation management activities by the city. I favor letting nature care for itself. Many are injured by routine pesticide applications on city medians. This committee is responsible for that. And with the FEMA grants, Oakland was part of a coordinated deforestation campaign and stubbornly pushed ahead, even after 90% of 13,000 comments to FEMA and nearly 65,000 petition signers voiced opposition until a lawsuit stopped you. I oppose the Urban Forestry Forum policy statement as written. Wildfires must be addressed by the fire department, where more funding needs to go, not vegetation management policies. And I demand you implement a complete pesticide ban and keep tree slashing out of public policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Doy. My concern is the trees and the wild animals and the wonderful urban forest we have in the Oakland Hills. And I know there's like this vendetta going on across the Bay Area, San Francisco, other places, to cut as many of what they call non-native trees down as possible, and then herbicide for years. But I also know in Little Diamond Park, 40 healthy large redwoods were cut down, and I still haven't found out what the reasoning was for that. Somebody said they needed benches. 40 large, healthy redwoods. And so my concern is that we save as many trees as possible. And with the ongoing problems with landslides that we're seeing all over the news, is if trees need to be removed or pruned because they're dead, or the landslides are happening, which are often because they've already cut other trees, to do it near roadways, paths, structures where people would be in danger. But otherwise, leave the forests completely alone, that no money has to be wasted on pruning, thinning, or cutting trees that are in the parks. Because one thing is that thinning will cause the spread of fires if fire starts. The denser the forest, the less wind movement, the less a fire will be spreading. So I agree about leaving the work of deciding what is needed to the fire department, who will tend to know more about what actually is needed, as opposed to the people in various forms are trying to get all the non-native trees cut. We may lose all of our native trees as there's sudden oak death increasing. The bays and oaks are vulnerable. But the introduced trees are incredibly healthy and not affected, the eucalyptus, the acacias. And then there's other trees that are accepted that are not vilified, even though some of these trees are. It all depends on what's considered native or not. But we need as many trees as possible because they do add a lot of moisture, many inches a year from the fog drip. Do I have time to go, or is that
That's the end of the time.
That's the end.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
visiting with us. Next speaker, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mark Razan. I represent the Friends of Saucil Creek. I'm glad to be here today. I also support the continued management and a proactive, holistic way of all of the trees in all of Oakland. There has been, in the urban world, a massive tree cutting, and I noted the point of fairyland. I believe that will also entail the loss of several oaks. I teach at Laney College. Over the 8 years, there's been 100 trees cut there, and no trees have been replanted. So I certainly advocate the tree planting in the urban flatlands as much as possible. Incidentally, the word Saucil Creek was mentioned here on herbicides. We still support the judicial certified use of herbicide to manage invasive plants, because we are a volunteer organization, and if we don't kill the plant once, we have to keep coming back until we run out of time and energy, and then the plant will take over. So far as the urban fire protection zone, we do advocate the removal of eucalyptus and acacia, and incidentally, it was an acacia that broke and killed the unfortunate youth at Lake Merritt. So invasive trees do have their problems in terms of assisting the fire spread. Marginal use in terms of habitat, I do recognize they do capture fog and manage the watershed. But we need a holistic point of view that uses everybody's talents, including the urban foresters, the fire department, and other citizen advocacy groups. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Morning. I'm Derek Schubert, coordinator of the Sierra Club Tree Team and secretary of the Oakland Urban Forestry Forum. It was from my mailbox that you should have gotten the request from the Oakland Urban Forestry Forum for the next budget cycle. Again, we want to see tree services restored to its pre-recession levels. We want to get the city back into the business of taking care of its trees and planting more of them. And we want to make sure that any urban forestry master plan at least acknowledges that there's some link between trees and fire. We're not saying we want tree services to get into the business of cutting any trees for fire. I would cede the rest of my time to Mr. Jefferson. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Kate Bernier. I'm here to speak for the water, but first I want to speak for the eucalyptus trees. They are antibacterial, antifungal. They help with respiratory ailments. They repel the Zika virus, malaria virus, etc., and many other things that they want to eradicate with herbicides in our parks are like fennel. It's anti-carcinogenic. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We should be harvesting things, not killing them. So I'm here to speak for the water. I swim in Lake Anza, so I noticed that they had been poisoning the eucalyptus trees. There were a lot of stumps up the hill from the lake, which is closed 2 years in a row. I'm going to give you these papers because I'm going to run out of time. For toxic bloom algae. And a nationwide EPA survey in 2007 found microcystins, which are highly toxic in toxic bloom, in 1 out of every 3 lakes tested in this country. The EPA estimates that between 30 and 46 million people in the U.S. are drinking water from lakes and reservoirs vulnerable to toxic bloom. Of course, that includes the wildlife that drink it directly. And BMAA is another product of toxic bloom algae, which has dire consequences for those who ingest it, including death. It is typically a result of too much phosphorus and nitrogen, and this nutrient overload is the major source is agricultural runoff from synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, which under California law, herbicides are pesticides, and they've been used in Tilden Park, in the East Bay parks for over 10 years now. And fundamental to pesticide and herbicide use is the need for ever-increasing doses of pesticide. Well, anyway, can I give you these?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can leave those for us with the clerk. Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Kevin Jefferson. I am currently the chair of the Oakland Urban Forestry Forum. Presently board president of Urban Relief, which is a urban forestry nonprofit organization located here in Oakland. I am here today representing a coalition of neighborhood, environmental, and adopt-a-spot groups concerned with the state of Oakland's urban forestry and the needs to restore funding to the Public Works Tree Services Division. I ask that other members of the coalition who are here today please stand in support of my brief remarks. Thank you, guys. We know that in a few months, you and your council colleagues will be making critical decisions concerning limited funds in the city's general funds as you discuss and approve the budget for 17 and 18. You should have received a letter, but I've passed it out. The letter makes a case for 3 things, or 3 needs. 1, allocate at least $5.3 million annually plus one-time purchases of $1.6 million in the 17-19 budget for tree services. In 07, the budget for tree services was drastically reduced. Those reductions resulted in young trees not being pruned, young trees not being maintained, basically to a point where tree services just provides emergency tree removal services, to the point where we're not replacing at the point that they're removing, to the point where nonprofits are fighting in massive competitive bid programs and situations to receive funds to help the city of Oakland. 2 organizations have been successful. Sierra Street Team and Urban Relief has been successful in receiving more than $1 million in grant funds for the city of Oakland, but those are only providing minimal funds for services and, more importantly, the people that are providing those services. Second, allocate $650,000 to create an Oakland urban forestry management plan, including an inventory of public trees along streets and medians in urban parks. The plan, in coordination with existing plans and policies, would address the following aspects: a citywide inventory of public trees, goals for canopy cover or absolute number of trees, funding sources, economic analysis of tree resources, utilizing tree benefits calculators, maintenance and replacement, urban wood utilization, carbon cap and trade considerations, mitigation of threat and forest health, creation of fire breaks in the woodland, in the wildland urban interfaces, conflicting ordinances and practices, enforcing of regulations, fee collections, allegations, equity planning, partnerships, memorandums of understanding, and best management practices. Just some of the things that the management plan consists of which the City of Oakland signed as part of the ECAP in 2012, which consisted of a 3-year update, which that hasn't taken place, which consisted of a master forest plan, which hasn't taken place. Third thing is establish a permanent urban forestry council or a forum to facilitate the development of plans, policies, and projects affecting the urban forest. San Francisco Successful Urban Forest Council.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I don't know if it didn't beep. Yes, but you added that in already, right? Okay. Thank you, and thank you for bringing us also the copies. Yes, no, I'm sorry. That is time. And thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
That concludes our speakers. Our committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so very much. Have a great day.